We have some more revelations here from WikiLeaks about the internal workings of Hillary's campaign. So Neera Tanden emailed John Podesta. Of course, both of them are massive Democratic establishment insiders. And Neera emailed John Podesta about how the New York Times was doing critical coverage of Hillary Clinton, and naturally they didn't like that. So they were strategizing on how they can best soften the blow and try to make that stop as much as possible. And in the email, Neera tells a story about how Mike Bloomberg had coffee with the owner of the New York Times, and it potentially helped them go softer on him. So that in and of itself is a story. You have Bloomberg calling up the New York Times like, yeah, let's go for some coffee. And then they go for coffee, they talk it out, and it's basically, there's an argument to be made that the New York Times went softer on Bloomberg after Bloomberg spoke to the owner, and the owner might have told the people, you know, hey, X-nay on the Bloomberg scale, a little soften up a bit or whatever. And that's not good. That's collusion between the government and the media. I mean, if we wanted that, maybe we just have our own Pravda and, you know, just have only state press in the United States. So that's bad in and of itself. But Neera is bringing this up as the example of what to do as a result of some critical coverage times. And she says, look, Hillary herself would have to call, the owner of the Times and basically schmooze him to get better coverage. Again, horrific collusion. This is the media and the government, or in this case, the Democratic campaign, trying to figure out, like, how do we work together to get better coverage? It should not be a consideration at all. The point of the press is supposed to be adversarial. But let me go ahead and give you some text now, because they go on to say this in the email. So Neera says to John Podesta, he also thinks the brown and women pundits can shame the Times and others on social media. So cultivating Joan Walsh, Matt Iglesias, Alan Perry Bacon, Greg Sargent to defend her is helpful. They can be emboldened. So do you understand what they're saying there? They're saying, okay, look, we can work the New York Times through Hillary directly calling the owner and saying, hey, let's go out for some coffee and please stop fucking being tough on me in your paper. That's one way. And then the other way she's saying is, well, what we could also do is we can get some brown pundits and some women pundits to shame the Times on social media. So play the race card, play the gender card, and shame the Times into, are you going tough on a woman? How? That might be sexist. Are you a Bernie bro? That might be sexist. I'm just saying it might be sexist. I'm trying to help you out here. I'm just trying to help you out, man. Don't be sexist, so don't criticize Hillary Clinton. And have people of color. Okay, so look, as somebody who is, who's an African American, I think your coverage has been very unfair. So use race, use gender to shame the Times into lightening up. And furthermore, they literally named specific writers, people in the media. Okay, so these people, that's it. Now you can pretend. Now you can stop pretending to be journalists and reporters. Let's just call it what it is. Joan Walsh, that's hilarious. Oh, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Everything I say is objective, and it's my thoughts. I'm not colluding with the Hillary campaign in any way. They're laying it out. They're saying, yeah, I could just tell Joan Walsh, write a piece and shame the Times for being tough on Hillary. What do you mean? Of course, that's what we could do. Oh, so you're in the arm of the Hillary campaign. Great, as long as we know. As long as there's, full disclosure, it is what it is, then we'll know you're working for the campaign, basically. Thank you. Matt Iglesias, hilarious. This guy thinks he's such a genius. When you read some of his tweets, you're like, how does anybody think this guy's a genius? Well, now we know. Hey, the Hillary campaign wants to email you, give you a call up. Hey, buddy, write a piece that protects Hillary from an objective press doing their job. I'm on it, boss. How sad are you? You guys are a sick, sick, sick joke. Who does that? Who does that? You're working with a campaign. The whole idea of the press, the whole idea of reporters and journalists, you're supposed to hold people in power accountable, whether you like them or not. You're not doing that. You just said, no, I'm going to do your propaganda for you. So that's what you are. You're not journalists. You're not reporters. You are propagandists. When you have Hillary's campaign internally saying, let me sick the dogs on people who are being critical of Hillary, You're fucking propagandists. So I just want you to know that. That's the whole point of me doing this segment. I just want you to understand that. You could try to lie to yourself when you put your head down on your pillow at night. You could just say whatever you want, do whatever you want to make yourself feel better about what you've done. But you're propagandists. Now, again, if you say, hey, I like Hillary, and yeah, I am working for Hillary here, and I am pushing that narrative, well, that's one thing, and then at least you're being honest. But you're not saying it. You're pretending to be objective. You're pretending to be reporters and journalists, but you're not your propagandists, and this proves it. So just understand what you are, and, save your snarky, smug douchiness coming after people who were Bernie supporters. Oh, Bernie, bro, sexist. Now, we know it was all a fucking fraud. We all know it was a fraud. We all know, hey, muck up stupid-ass arguments to use against them and smear them, viciously smear them and smear their character and do libelous attacks. Because that's the only way we can get our candidate to get approved because, let's face it, she's just worse. She voted for the Patriot Act. Disaster, right-wing idea. She voted for the Iraq War. Disaster, right-wing idea. She wants Syria intervention. Disaster, right-wing idea. She led intervention in Libya. Disaster, right-wing idea. She was in favor of NAFTA. Disaster, right-wing idea. She was in favor of TPP, pushed for it 45 times. Disaster, right-wing idea. She was in favor of deregulating Wall Street. Disaster, right-wing idea. So what do? You got to polish the turd. That's what you got to do. Oh, I don't know what you mean. Oh, totally no. This is, she's great. She's tremendous. She's amazing. And just sexist if you disagree with her. Look, we have people of color disagreeing with you and saying that you're not being fair to Hillary Clinton. So obviously if you respond and disagree, you're racist. These are the kind of tactics they had to use. So now supposed left-wing journalists have just become propagandists, and they're now using the same tricks of the right. You smear people who disagree with you. You smear people who besmirch the Queen. You smear people and go after their character, when in reality, the only people whose character has been impugned here is yours.